Hello and thank you for joining ContentoNowTV, the show that hosts authors and lecturers from around the world in order to reveal some secrets of behind the scenes of their publishing process. We are very, very delighted to have with us Yarin Kimor. Hello, Yarin.
Hello.
The impossible made possible.
Right.
How do you reflect this value in your life?
Well, for 40 years, I've never been bored because I tried to challenge myself each moment. I believe that we have to keep our sparkle in our eyes and to challenge ourselves in order to express our fingerprints in our life and not to be sort of a duplications of the expectations of others on us. And that's the reason that sometimes you face all kinds of problems and difficulties and you try to overcome them, but not just by a general encouragement, but actually by system, by way, by techniques that I share with the audience and with myself.
Give me one technique that you're sharing that is practically outside of the books, with your lectures, with your workshop in Israel, elsewhere in the world, in China. How practically would it work?
Well, I'll give you an example.
Yes.
In my lectures or in this one?
In the lectures?
No, okay. Well, I'll share with you one technique that I implemented in Israel, nationally. I directed, as a television director, I directed a documentary about two soldiers that were killed in the same day and sons to the same family. And, well, it was a terrible tragedy. And after a few days in the kibbutz, another widow approached me and asked me, what about my son, what about my husband, and so on. I said, well, we are concentrating on the two. She said, do you mean that the point that the brother of my dead soldier is still alive is a problem for you as a documentary person, a director, and you cannot do it?
Wow. So
you cannot face such a question. But because I know all the techniques, one of them is maximization. You cannot solve a problem, maximize it. Not maximize it by 30% because then you stay on the same zone. Try to maximize it but up to absurd, to thousands percent, tens of thousands percent. So I offered the television management to make a roller of 20,000 names of all the casualties of Israel during Israel's war since its establishment, and with the background of Israeli flowers and songs, and they accepted the idea.
It's amazing.
And what couldn't be solved with memorizing one person was memorized by 20,000 casualties, and it paid respect to all of them, all the families and all the dead soldiers. So that was one contribution that actually changed the attitude of remembering our casualties in Israel for many years. It's for now it's about the 19th year already.
Wow. And
I did it in few more times. But mainly I encourage other people in workshops that I give in IBM, Microsoft, in the Army, in Intel, or industry, or education, or medicine. I encourage other people to use these techniques in order to invent all kinds of breakthroughs in their professional lives. That's what I do here in Israel and abroad.
Let's see part of a lecture that is part of a workshop that you were giving, I believe it was in the Philippines?
In Singapore,
In Singapore. You could see the crowd.
Yeah, it's in Singtel, yeah.
Yeah, let's see, please.
How much is it together? Together, please. Why I could predict that 90% plus will say 5,000 and be wrong. Our experience that all of us share is like the flashlight tied to our back and lights our past. We listen to what we expect should be the question and not to the question. the square can be less square, but also the creative can be more creative. We saved 29 years out of 30 just by using simple technique, that's it. I would like to transform this energy to an ultra banana laser beam. Yeah, it is cut. Yeah. Nobody saw any fire cause any effect of the banana. It was artificially caused in our mind. Danny's mother had 3 kids, A, B, and Danny, not C, Danny. Danny's mother, right? So can it be different? Some of you changed their way of thinking from fixation to at least suspecting in our way of thinking.
And it works. You see the people, regardless of the community, the language, the territory, the geography, that they are really into thinking outside of the box and understanding that innovation is part of their daily life.
There are a lot of races all over the world, but there is just one race, the human race, that share the same fixation. There are all kinds of exercises that I do all over the world, and all the people from all religions, nations, races, whatever, fell into the same trap. Because fixation is good till it quits to be good. So mainly, we use it for our benefit.
Let's think together outside of the box.
Yeah.
How would that work?
Well, this kit I developed a few years ago, and it is called Think Outside the Box. And it actually invites you to get into the box in order to learn how to think outside the box. And it contains all kinds of riddles.
It goes for families, but also for employees in organization, etc., that they can work with their manager.
Managers or presents for clients and others. And it's good for kids and adults alike, And it contains riddles that the common denominator of all of them is how couldn't I think about it before? And you see the question, you cannot solve it, so you raise the moving part and you see the fixation, why you cannot solve it. Usually it fits your own original way of thinking. Then you raise it a bit more and you see the clue why you can solve it. And then you turn the card and you see the solution, and you lower this part and you see the food for thought. What have you learned out of all this process? So it's a learning kit, but on the same token, it's also a game between adults and kids and adults and so on.
Give me an example from one of, let's play together.
Well, this one is wonderful.
Okay.
Because this actually saves lives.
Wow.
There are all much more amusing cards here, but I prefer to show you the most valuable one. A few years ago, and it really happened in Israel, a few people were killed when terrible fire chased them with a very fast wind, and they escaped, but the wind and the fire were faster and they couldn't make it. This is the question: can they survive? The fixation says no, they cannot do it because the wind and the fire are faster. The clue asks you, can the wind and can the fire can be a friend, not just an enemy? Well, can it be? Well, the solution says yes, because it says, okay, within 3 minutes the fire will reach you. Don't escape. Light a fire here. Let the wind from there carry the fire there, and actually creating you sort of a shelter that you can escape after the fire. And when the real fire, when the real danger will reach here, it cannot burn the same place twice. It will be stopped here. You are safe there. Problem is solved.
So
the solution, no, the solution is the Aikido, the Judo. You use the power of the problem to solve it. You use the power of the opponent to defeat him. In this case, you use the power of the wind and the fire to solve the problem of the wind and the fire. Actually, you use the vaccine, the weakened vaccine of the polio, in order to solve the problem of the real bacteria. So that's wonderful. There are hundreds of examples that uses this technique.
Think outside of the box.
Right.
Yarin Kimor, in all over the world, giving lectures, helping people to overcome their fixations, our fixations, with wonderful, unique, and very simple tools.
Yeah, and there is also a French version, and of course Hebrew version, but the main version is English, yeah?
Yes, and by the way, in Israel, it's a big hit that so many organizations and people have decided that they want to be part of this process.
Close to 100,000 copies were sold just in Israel.
Wow.
And abroad, it's also very popular. And each lecture that I give all over the world actually exposes this kit, and then they buy it in masses.
That's great. Yarin Kimor, I want to thank you so much, and I would like to ask you if we could meet again here in our TV studios.
Yeah, I would be glad to, yeah.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions as being part of the community of Yarin Kimor, please don't hesitate using all the digital tools, but also just simply ringing and calling by phone or meeting personally. Thank you so much for joining ContentoNow TV.